Interesting. And political-wise, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but what's it been like being there to watch all this happen? Of course, we haven't really seen anything like this before. Just like your quick take on what you've seen and what might happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. The real question, I think, is to what extent are people supporting Trump out of a tribal identity or out of the fact that they dislike Hillary, which is a position I'm not entirely unsympathetic with, although I probably dislike her for different reasons to them. But I'm not fond of her coziness to the finance industry, and I think she's kind of a warmonger. But I don't think that she's literally the devil, as Alex Jones said recently. But to what extent they're supporting Trump for that, and to what extent, and so is it a plebiscite on Republican identity or anti-Hillary sentiment, or are we having a plebiscite seemingly on white supremacy? And that's a question that's like really hard to answer. And you know, to the extent that like I'm able to look at it with fresh eyes, it's because I have to explain it to an 8-year-old, our daughter, and she's, for her, it's a very easy set of decisions, right? So first of all, there's the guy who doesn't want to deport immigrants, right? Or the guy who wants to deport immigrants, and she's an immigrant, and he doesn't like refugees. And my dad's a refugee. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have hit the microphone.
That's all right.
My dad's a refugee, right? And he doesn't like brown people, and she likes brown people. And so, you know, all of those make it really easy. And then Hillary's a woman, and she's a girl, and she really wants to see a woman be president. And so for her, it's a relatively straightforward decision. But then she's like, why do Trump supporters support Trump? And that's a tough one. The other interesting thing has been she keeps asserting confidently that Hillary is going to win because no one she knows supports Trump. And I have to keep explaining like self-sorting and homophily, which is where people who are similar tend to hang out with one another, and selection bias. It's kind of been a good way to talk about statistical, literacy. But she remains very convinced that like she has an accurate sample of America in her middle-class Burbank public school, state school,
right?
Which I think when she gets older, it will be really interesting to discuss that with her, because I think it's making quite an impression on her.
And when we look back in 5 years, will we be able to explain the Trump phenomenon?